Hello, hello, and welcome to Tab's Pink Elephant. We're back again, getting more elephants out of the room. We're going even deeper, okay? Today, the elephant that we're going to be getting out of the room is, we know that in society, I have to say it this way, whether you like it or not, it has to be said. It has to be said. There, being a minority woman, a minority female in IT and in the division of the work that I do, I'm telling you, 20 years I've been doing this, and first of all, I don't see a lot of people that look like me. I don't wear it on my shoulders, I don't wear it on my sleeves, but I'm being honest with you. I don't see a lot of it. And so we're going to get the elephant out of the room today, and we're going to talk about it. Today we're going to be kind of touching on minority, black women, female pioneers, trailblazers, and I can talk about it because I've been affected by a pioneer, I've been affected by a trailblazer. And, you know, growing up, my mom and my dad, of course, they were, the ultimate trailblazers, the ultimate pioneers. But also growing up, my aunt, Brenda, I know her as Aunt Brenda, but she is Dr. Brenda Jones. Growing up, I would say in the 70s, 80s, I didn't see a lot of minority women that were like going above and beyond or just trailblazing the way for me. But I saw it in my aunt. I saw it in my aunt. It was right in my backyard. And I don't even know, Aunt Brenda, if you knew the impact you had on my life and how I saw you. And it actually put fuel in me to do better and to want more. You did it so quietly. You did it so selfishly. You didn't even, you just did it. You didn't try to roar your horn. You didn't try to push it. You just were it. You just were. And it was such a blessing to me. And I never, ever forgot it. And right now, I think we're in a place in society where I think each one of us probably have everyday pioneers in our life, everyday trailblazers in our life. Not movie stars, not athletes, but people every day that are making a difference in our life. And I want you all to come with me to hear this amazing story of my Aunt Brenda and how she broke barriers in the 70s. Going to an Ivy League university, Brown University. It was unheard of. Now, I actually did a little research. This is my Aunt Brenda, everyone. I want you to see her, Dr. Brenda Jones. She's right here. I'm going to start talking to you right off the cuff. So, you know, I did a little research on Brown and kind of looking at what was going on in Brown in the 70s. And I saw there was some type of walkout. I saw there was a lot of things that were going on. And I was like, wow, this is where Aunt Brenda went and Aunt Brenda dealt with these things. But I'm going to even back it up to high school in the South. Okay, you're going to high school in the South. And you got to help me walk us through this now. And be honest with the viewers of Tab's Pink Elephant about the things that you endured and some of the things that people probably don't even know that you had to deal with to trailblaze and push through for other minority women. Like I said, you went to undergrad at Brown University, but let's go back to high school. You went to high school in the South.
Yes.
So what I want you to do, walk us through high school in the South. Then you left high school and you ended up going to Brown University.
Yes.
You left Brown University. You end up going to medical school at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Yes.
Okay. Then I think you did your residency in Memphis.
Yes.
Okay. See, I know a little something. And oh, before you get started, word on the curb, tell me, is it true? Did you really name me?
Yes.
Y'all didn't know that. She named me. She named me. Isn't that pretty cool? What made you come up with this name? Be honest.
Bewitched.
Samantha and Tabitha.
Yeah.
Yeah, but word on the curb was you named me, and so I love it. I love it. So that's pretty cool. Don't y'all think that's pretty cool that she named me and she's sitting right here and she kind of trailblazed the way? I don't think that's a mistake. No. But anyway, walk us through, Brenda, what it was like, and be honest, because I know you dealt with some things that you probably have never shared with people, but just help us through high school, college, medical school in the 70s.
Okay. Now, I preface this to say that before that, I went to an all-black elementary and junior high school.
Okay.
And then there was, where they integrated the public schools in the South, well, at least in North Carolina. And so they closed down the black school, and we went to the 3 white schools. Plus Hillside High School, which was an all-black school. So there were 4 high schools in Durham.
Okay.
Northern, Southern, Jordan, Hillside, and then of course Durham High. So 5.
Okay.
5 black high schools.
Okay.
Our county school got divided into the 3 county schools, which was Northern, Southern, and Jordan.
Okay.
I went to Southern.
Okay.
And we had probably the smallest amount of kids that got separated that went to Southern compared to the other 3.
Okay.
So we were, sort of in more of a minority than some of the other schools. But we got there, and luckily we had teachers and guidance counselors that went with us. Even if they weren't full-time there, they came over to check on us and make sure that we were okay.
Okay.
Because what happened to me, I got there, and they had me in regular English, they had me in regular math, they had me in everything regular. But they had my grades, and they knew that I had been a very good student, but they didn't bother to put me in the Excel or advanced classes. Mm-hmm. So my guidance counselor came over and wanted to know why. And next thing I knew, I was in different classes, which were the classes I should have been in. Uh-huh. So that was one of the first things I encountered, was just being acknowledged for the grades that I was making.
Oh, wow.
So I did that, and so then I, got into the routine of going to my advanced classes, and I tried out for cheerleader, didn't get it. No big deal, But one of my friends got in, so it was like everything was, if we can only have one on something, then we're okay.
One what?
Black person.
Okay.
It wasn't like that in the sports. My brother was a football standout there and played offense, defense, special teams.
Oh yeah.
He played everything. But it was a challenge for us, because we got there and the mascot was the Southern Rebels with the Confederate flag and playing Dixie and everything. Wow. And after the first year we were there, they changed it, because first of all, my brother said he would not play football for Rebels after that. Okay. And so
they changed.
We went through this thing with a name change, and they changed the name to the Southern Spartans, which
that's pretty cool that you were there when I didn't know that you were there when that changed.
Yes, we were there. My second year there, it changed from Rebels to Spartans, and it was just, we had nothing to compare it to, so we didn't know how much we were facing when we got there, because we had been in the comfort of our community school for all of my life.
Do you think segregation was good?
I think the idea of segregation is good. I don't think it was implemented very well.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, that's a good. I haven't heard it said that way, because I've heard both sides, that it was and it wasn't good, But like you said, good but not implemented, because we belong too.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
we belong too. Now I heard one story. Now I don't see in our family we talk a lot. You know, my grandmother, who I think played a big part in your education.
Yes.
You know, but she had an 8th grade education, but they say she was smart they say she was really smart. And
That's as far as she could go
that's
at the
as
time.
far as she could go, and they said she was really smart. So, but the word on the curb from grandma, now I don't know if this is true or not, so if you tell me, no, Tab, it's not true, that the teachers used to grade papers of the other students from your paper.
That is true.
Wow.
And in elementary through junior high school, you know, they did it, and I don't think they did it at Southern, but
Yeah,
they did.
wow. That's to me, she told me that. She said that your paper would be the paper that the teacher would use to grade, and I was like, really? You know, and I knew you weren't going to share it because you're so humble and you just always you don't even talk about certain things. You just kind of do it. But I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty doggone cool. So now you graduated from high school.
Yes.
And I'm sure did well. Were you valedictorian?
No. I graduated with honors, but I wasn't valedictorian.
Okay. Okay, you graduated with honors, not
Yeah.
valedictorian. And so, did you always know that you wanted to be a physician?
Yes, I remember probably from about the 3rd or 4th grade, people would ask you, what do you want to be? And I would be, I want to be a doctor. And they'd be, oh, that's so sweet. You'll make a great nurse. You know, they weren't encouraging.
Right.
But it was like they didn't see that or believe that you could be whatever you wanted to be, because a lot of them were denied that.
Yeah.
So, you know, they didn't dishearten me, but my mother always told me, you can be whatever you want to be.
You want to
And
be.
she made it her purpose to make sure that I could be. And that's...
And you can tell that you walked in that, because I felt the same way. I felt the same way. I felt that I could be all that I wanted to be, but I saw it. I saw it. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And you were just going on about your way, but can you imagine growing up as a teenager and you seeing one of the few women, like my mom, I saw my mom, my aunts and all those, but they were kind of already in the workforce. But you were like, you know, going to medical school, and you were going to undergrad, and you were doing those things. So that's what I was watching, because I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So I always knew what you were doing. I always kind of kept my eyes on you to kind of know what you were doing. Now, okay, so you graduated high school, and you said, okay, you wanted to go. Tell us about the experience of getting into Brown in the 70s and what that was like.
It was through the guidance counselor that followed us to all the 3 schools in the county that really helped. You know, I was applying to the regular schools, and she said, no, you're going to apply to these schools, because they have programs where they want to get in Southern, especially Southern black kids, and it was also from large cities in the north. So I applied to Brown. I applied to Wesleyan in Connecticut. I applied to Duke, of course, which was home. But I didn't want to go to Duke because it was home, and I had a lot of my friends that were not going to go to college, and I didn't think they would be a good influence on me
So
being
you
at
got
Duke
away.
and them, you know, not being in school. So we applied to these places. They paid for the applications, or we wouldn't have been able to apply.
Wow.
And I got in at Brown, and that was it. I didn't even consider any place else once I got in at Brown. Probably because I'd heard about it being an Ivy League school, which I didn't know before. The only one I knew was Harvard and Yale. Those are the 2 that you knew about. And then I found out Brown was an Ivy League, and I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. And that's what I did. I got in, and I went.
Yeah,
So,
you went and you did your thing. Now, what was the climate like at Brown when you were there? And what year was that you got accepted into Brown?
I started at Brown in 72.
It's 1972.
Yes.
That's where I looked and I saw the
And-
activity that was going on at Brown, racial activity.
And
I did.
it crescendoed, and then that sit-in that we had was in 74. I was part of it.
You were part of
I
the
was part
sit-in.
of that.
Do you
yes.
know I was sitting there reading that, and I was like, oh my gosh, wonder, was she involved in this sit-in?
Yes.
So you were involved in the sit-in?
Yes, and we had shifts that we would go in and we'd
Now, what
sit.
was that? The sit-in. Tell the viewers about this sit-in and why and what was going on and what the purpose of that was.
Well, it was a lot of different things. Mostly, it was about making sure that we got our Black Studies program started. We wanted integration of and just learning about Black Studies. We also wanted the South African thing was pretty big.
Oh,
then.
that like the apartheid
yes,
and
the
all that?
apartheid.
Okay,
So
okay.
it was a combination of a lot of things that we were concerned about in our country, that it was like the education system just sort of didn't think about or
Right.
realize that it would affect us after, even while we were there and after we would leave. So
Okay.
it was a hodgepodge of things that we were concerned about.
Now, let me. I do this a lot. Sometimes I reel back, and I reel back because I want it to be understood about the trailblazer and the pioneer. Not only that, but you are one girl of how many boys?
I had 7 brothers, 7 older brothers.
and you were the baby girl.
I was the baby.
You were the
Yes.
baby. So you learned a lot growing up with all those boys, I'm sure.
I learned a lot. I lived through a lot, and so there hasn't been a lot that anybody after my brothers could do to me that hadn't already been done. Playing games with me, mocking me, whatever.
Yeah, being tough, making you tough.
So medical school was a breeze for me when it came to how I dealt with the other guys.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So that sit-in was like, it was, hey, you could do it.
Yeah.
You were no big deal. No big deal. And so, do you think did this sit-in, was it successful? Do you all feel like it was?
Yes, we weren't demanding a whole lot of, things, unattainable things. And the things that they felt were reasonable, that we thought were important, we got those things.
Yeah.
And it made a difference for us.
Okay, that's awesome. So, sit-in, Brown University. Then you said, hey, I'm going to go to medical school.
Yes.
And you actually came back near home.
I came back home to go to medical school at University of North Carolina, mainly because it was a very good medical school. It had, it had more out-of-state applicants, but it really had a pledge to bring in-state students.
Okay.
And so then I got the in-state tuition, which was really, really
Yeah.
good. And I got to be back at home. So,
Well, talk to us about your field of study.
well, I always knew I wanted to be a surgeon. I'd always been good with my hands. And so then I got looking at the different surgical specialties. I said, I want to have a family. I want to, have a life outside of medicine too. So
Yeah.
ophthalmology just looked really good.
Okay.
And I got to do a elective with an ophthalmologist and some research with him while I was doing the elective, and that was it. I applied for ophthalmology residencies, and I got in. But at that time, I had to do an internship between medical school and ophthalmology residency. So I knew where I was going for my ophthalmology residency before I did my internship.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. And that was that in Memphis?
My residency was in Memphis,
Okay.
Tennessee.
Okay,
Yes, at the
Memphis.
University of Tennessee. The medical school and the dental school are in Memphis. The law school and other professional
Didn't know
schools
that.
are in Knoxville.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you
Now,
see.
and I heard more word on the curb, like when you were in residence, doing your residency in Memphis, that you saw some horrific stuff there.
Well, yeah, Memphis has a big crime problem, and they also had, at the time I was there, the literacy rate was phenomenal. So many of my patients would have to sign their surgical consents with an X, so we would have to get 2 people to witness that.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
it was just amazing, and those 2 things I think caused the crime to
Right.
be at the level that it was.
Wow. So you probably did see some things, and I can imagine. Were you in ER?
We had to work in the ER. If they had an eye emergency, we got called down to the ER, and whatever presented, that's what we saw. I can truly say the worst thing I've ever seen, walking in, and there was this butcher knife handle at the eye.
Ah, well.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you mean? Like
I
it was
mean, I mean the blade was in the eye and the handle was all you saw.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so you mean to tell me there was a blade in the eye?
I saw the handle of a butcher
So that
knife.
mean, oh, you just saw the handle. So
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So did you didn't surgically have to remove it? Did you were the one that removed it?
Yes, me and it was a neurosurgery resident because of course the blade was long enough that it was in his brain too.
So you did surgery.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, Brenda. I'm sorry. You know, I've known what you've done all your life, but I'm seeing you. I'm a visual person. I'm looking at your hand. Let me see your hands. So these hands went in and removed it.
Well, you know that was the easy part, taking it out.
Okay.
Trying to save his eye was hard, but we did not save his eye, but they saved his life.
Yeah,
know,
but you
with the
saved his
brain.
life.
Yeah.
That's awesome. See, that's phenomenal to me. And let me ask you a question. Now, okay, so you're in medical school, you did your residency, we talked about Memphis, the blade, we've seen all these other things. And then we know that in the 70s, 80s, there weren't a lot of people that looked like you in that profession.
Right.
So when you walked in rooms, tell me what it was like when you walked in rooms and when you were sitting in meetings. Did people think you were like the hired help, or I mean, you know?
Well, when I would go on the wards if my patient was on a ward, then like that person after emergency surgery, they would be in the hospital. That's when I would run into problems because people in my department knew me.
Yeah,
and then
of course.
when my patients came into my office, they were coming into my office. I wasn't going into their room, so that made it easier. You know, I'm Dr. Jones, no big deal. But when I would be on the wards or going into patients' rooms and doing rounds, that was when, you know, I even got asked one time, you know, why are you behind the desk here? I said, because I'm checking on one of my patients' charts. Your patients? I said, yes, I'm Dr. Jones. Oh, you know, like no big deal. Oh, I just made a mistake. You know, no apology. Like I'm sorry, I didn't, you know who you were or whatever. But like I would just go. You know, here I am, a black woman who would just go behind the desk and have patients chart and not
even
supposed
think
to be
about
there.
It. Yeah. And you know that's good because and I say all this to say until you have been in a situation like this, you will not get it. You won't get it. No. You know, it's almost as though here they go again talking about race. Here they go again trying to say that, you know, the black tax. Here they go again talking about it. Listen, it's real.
It's real.
We're not making this up. We're not even women who, like you say, wear it on our sleeve or try to say, you know, we get racism all the time. But we're just trying to bring it to the front so people can govern themselves accordingly. Remember, each one of us makes up society. Each one of us makes up society. So before you open your mouth, before you make an assumption, don't stereotype. Yeah. Because you don't know. You really, really do not know. No. You know, and you're letting us see that. Okay, so you're there in Memphis, you're, you know, like the ER, you're doing all those things, of course. Then you go to what level? After you get your residency, then what do you do?
Well, I got married at the end of my residency and my husband was in graduate school. So I knew I wasn't ready to go out and set up a practice because we both wanted to do that sort of together, make that decision. So I joined the Navy.
Wow, we got military too. Good gracious, you just come on, you keep us going, okay?
And because I didn't owe them any time, they didn't pay for any of my training in my undergrad or medical school. To get me, they had to pretty much put me where I wanted to be. So I knew I had sort of like, if I wanted to be on the East Coast, which I did, I wanted to be at Virginia Beach, Norfolk area, because my husband was in school in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. That's where I got to. So I thought I had a little bit of power, and I wielded that power.
Yes.
But it was, it was at no expense to them. They were
Right.
getting a trained ophthalmologist at no expense to them.
Yes, I see.
So I was in there for 3.5 years, I think it was.
Okay.
I had my daughter. I got her. She cost $22.50 because that was for food while I was
that's
in there.
good.
But
Okay.
so that was I think it was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that was a sweet deal.
yeah.
And you know, we were laughing before the shoot. We were laughing about your photogenic memory, how you remember numbers and you remember things. And because I said something and I said the number one time, and I think it has some letters in it too. And you said KP so and so so so. I'm like, how do you remember that? You just like, I just have always just had that photogenic memory, and that's pretty cool because. You know, you don't know that. That was something else I learned about you. So I take everything. Okay, so you were in the Navy. You did your time there with the Navy. More service. You had Jessica. You know, you're there, so that's good. Okay, you're married. So tell us then what happens. What next? It's like you just keep climbing.
Well, I after the military, I decided I wanted to go into private practice. They tried to keep me in the military. The day I got out, I was a lieutenant commander.
Okay.
And then the day I got out, they frocked me to commander, but I didn't stay in. So, because it wasn't that great of an experience in the military.
Okay.
When I was in the military, there was a Navy guy that was a cardiologist that was blind in one eye and legally blind in the other eye, and he was doing surgery, and he was really doing some bad things for patients.
He was basically a blind surgeon.
He was, you know, legally, not
Okay,
he wasn't
okay.
completely blind. He
Just
was
trying to
legally
figure-
blind, but he
okay.
was doing cardiovascular surgery, and he had a lot of complications. So they came down hard on all surgeons. You know, you caught slack, and
Okay.
I was like, I don't need to be dealing with this.
Yes.
I don't need to pay for somebody else's problems. You know, I
Yes.
have enough of my own.
Right.
So I decided to get out, and I started looking for practices, and I found one in Marion, Ohio, and my husband and my daughter, we moved to Marion, Ohio, and I was
Wow.
there for 3.5 years, and then I moved to Marietta, Ohio, where we were for 25 to 30 years, about 27 years.
Okay.
So yeah.
And stop right there. So I really want to just say this. Now, we've been listening to this story. Now, remember, we're not talking about someone who is a celebrity. We're not talking about someone. She literally is doing this every day, you know, of her life, making a way, trailblazing the way for other women, minority black women who may have wanted to go to medical school or wanted to do whatever they wanted to do. So I always want you, when you're listening to Tab Spin, Callus Spin, or the story, understand what's behind what we're saying. And right now, I guess I'm saying what's behind what we're saying is she's still trailblazing the way. And you remember, I'm still seeing this. I'm still knowing this. Not only me, but my other cousins, my other folks in our lives. We're seeing this go on. And so so you're in Ohio, and what do you do in Ohio? I mean, are you just at a hospital, or what are you doing?
No, when I moved from Marion, Ohio to Marietta, I assumed this practice that had been around for about 25 years. But a guy from California bought the practice, and he was looking for someone to run it. So he picked me to run the practice. And after 5 years, the practice became mine.
Okay.
And so I became the owner of that practice, and I was there for I think I had it for about 22 years,
Wow.
where it was my practice, and then I sold it to the hospital
Okay.
after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, and I know, you know, really, to be honest with you, you did it so quietly and so smoothly, you almost, the average person wouldn't even realize the things that you've done. But I have realized it. It has, like I said, made an impact in my life. And I think what I'm trying to do with Tabs Pink Elephant is there are more women like you that are doing, you know, great things. But it's just like they're just flying under the radar. They're just, you know, kind of, you know, whatever. What I'm going to say to you, I'm really going to ask you can you please, because you have done it, and there are so many young women or girls or folks out there that they're listening to this thinking, I might want to do it. But what can you say to them? Because we want to hear from someone who's done it.
I think you have to have someone that believes in you, someone that pushes you and tells you, yes, you can do these things. You can be this.
Yes.
That was my mother.
Yes.
Then you have to work hard and prepare yourself. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to be a doctor and then get F's in school. You got to
Right.
go out and do the work.
Right.
And then you got to have a tough skin, because there are going to be naysayers. There are going to be people who try to convince you that, no, you can't do these things.
What did you hear when you talk about those naysayers? Get me specific.
Well, the most of the thing, like, it was when I'd say I'm going to be a doctor, they say, oh, yeah, you're going to be a good nurse. Something like that. Like, don't set your hopes too high. You'll just be disappointed. And they weren't saying it out of cruelty. They were saying because they had not seen that.
Yeah.
No, they didn't know any women doctors.
Yes.
Especially black women
Yeah.
doctors. Or some of them were, don't, like that crab thing. They don't want to see you do anything they can't do.
Mm-hmm.
So you just decide, there are people you'll listen to and there are people you're not going to listen to.
Right.
And luckily I chose the people that I wanted to listen to and who believed in me. And most of all, I believed in myself.
Yeah, and we keep hearing, we talk about self-worth, and I think that's kind of, you had to have some, it does come through with you, because you're very unassuming, because you're just who you are. You laugh, you have a good time, and folks would never even know that you've done some of the things that you've done. And so I love that, I love that you've done that. And I want to say one more thing to close us out. I was looking at my notes here, and you were talking about being who you are. You know what I thought about? Okay, I was born at the hospital, medical center. I was gonna get a name, but it don't matter. Anyway, soon as I was born, one of the things that is written out is, it identifies me that she's born a little black girl,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
That's the first thing, then you got a birth certificate. So you start getting tagged as soon as you come out the birth channel. You
Yes.
do,
Yes.
don't you?
Yes.
So it's almost like, what are you going to do with that? Because really, it's an even playing field. Is it really? Is it an even playing field?
No.
Okay. I don't think so either. And people will say, yes, it is. Well, here you go again. You can't tell someone something who have had to deal with something. Like I said, when I've been in meetings and when I've been on calls, there are not a lot of women and there are not a lot of black women. So it's like, I'm not making this up when people talk down to me, mm-hmm. when people look at me sideways, mm-hmm. when people question. And it's like, well, I'm the one managing this. What are you questioning me? Why don't you just, I promise you I've done my research, and it's like, so it's those things.
Yeah.
So I love that, like I said, Tab's Pink Elephant, we're going to continue to highlight women like Dr. Brenda Jones, who is my aunt. We're going to continue to do that. I really do want to hear from some of you all. There's somebody that actually sent me a note the other day and said, hey, I have something to say. Would you talk to me? And yes, I want to continue to reach out to the listeners. I want to continue to reach out to the folks who are talking and watching Tab's Pink Elephant. But I need you to keep in touch. Let me know. And Aunt Brenda, thank you so much for coming on Tab's Pink Elephant and trailblazing the way for me. I can talk about for me. I really appreciate it. Aunt Brenda, can you please look in the camera? Talk to our viewers. Hey guys, listen, this is someone who has done it. She's not someone on ABC, but she's done it. Okay? Can you give them a pink pearl of wisdom, Aunt Brenda?
Find someone who believes in you, believe in yourself as they believe in you.
Oh, wow. Hey, I want everybody to share this with someone. I'm telling you, it's going to make a difference. And every one of you keep in touch. Thank you.